Okay, let's try this.
Hey, we ready? Hey, Jerry, you ready?
Yeah, we're ready whenever you are.
Ready? Okay. Good evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Tonight, we got a lot to address tonight, especially with all the stuff that's going on with these ICE agents around the country and Donald Trump. We're going to talk about that in another hot topic, but we'll first go to our host, Mr. Derek Scott, who is the chairman of the Democrat Party in here in Florida, in Pensacola. We have Jill Lewis Dagg, who is with the community unity activist, and BJ Bruni, who is Dr. BJ Bruni, who is here with us tonight. And Mr. Bernie Watson, who is usually here, but he's hanging out in the Bahamas. So we're gonna get right to it, Derek.
Okay, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I hope everybody's had a great break. We're sorry that we missed you last week, but we are back and ready to go. So we will not delay any further and get into our normal host roundtable first, things that we need to know. And I will start with you, Mr. McIntosh, for you have for people.
Just, I don't have anything this week, and but I will next week. So we'll keep it moving.
Okay. That is fine. Our number for my counterpart and friend from Santa Rosa County, Chair of Santa Rosa Democrats, Mr. BJ Bernice. Good evening, and Dr. BJ Bernice. What do you have for us today?
October starts our vote by mail fall initiative. So we're basically going to be all in this month on educating voters in Santa Rosa County on vote by mail, making sure that we get everyone who used to be enrolled in vote by mail re-enrolled in vote by mail since everyone's names was purged from the rolls in terms of vote by mail. So that's basically what our October initiative is. It's just making sure that everyone knows that they have to re-enroll in vote by mail just in case some stuff go down on election day. We need to make sure our ballots are in early and counted.
Thank you for that. And our wonderful friend from Police County, Mr. Lewis Dagg. What do you have for us?
Good evening, everyone. So I have this week at the Crestview Resource Center, we do our food giveaway. It starts at 10:30, but I suggest you get there by 10. The address is 798 Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue in Crestview, Florida. You stay in your car, drive around, you get a wonderful array of food that is donated to us. We do that once a month. And then Bountiful Blessings does it the third Saturday. So those are just events that you can look forward to in Okaloosa County, Crestview side. And then there are several other events that are going on that we will update next week so that everyone can get involved, including the NAACP fundraising banquet, Freedom Fund banquet, and then the Zetas are having information. And then, of course, we have PAC support for Senior Airman Fortson coming up on the 18th as well. So everyone get ready. Like BJ said, I think it's important to start the preparation now. Signing up and making sure that you're registered to vote and do vote by mail is critical. And it's October, so I think that in our fall festivities, that should be one of the top things on everybody's list. Thank you.
You're on mute.
Thank you for that. Realize I'm on mute, trying to do several things at one time. I apologize. So as we move on, I guess with me, what I will share is this is the month of October. So similarly, all of our folks across the Panhandle are going to be engaged in trying to get ready for 2026. And in Escambia County, similarly to BJ, we are going to start our canvassing efforts where we're knocking on doors. We're starting in the city, and that's for a very strategic purpose. But we're going to make sure that within the city of Pensacola, those of you who are registered to vote want to make sure that we get you re-enrolled and vote by mail if you have not already done so. As we so eloquently discussed, the enrollment ended in December of 2024. So if you have not filled out a new request to enroll and vote by mail, you're going to have to do so soon in order to vote by mail in 2026. So we're going to be doing that in the city limits of Pensacola. So if you'd like to join us for that, please feel free to do so. In addition to that, or in conjunction with that, we're also going to be knocking on those very same doors to get candidate petition signed. As some of you are aware, Ann Hill has filed to run for the mayor of Pensacola. And so we're going to make sure that we can do all we can to get her on the ballot qualified without having to pay the qualifying fee. So we're going to be knocking doors to get candidate petition signed. So we're going to be knocking on Democrats' doors. We're going to be knocking on NPA doors. We're going to knock on Party for Social Liberation. We're going to knock on Democratic Socialist doors. We're going to knock on the Green Party doors. Every party that there is, we're going to be knocking on your door. Well, almost every party, because we're not knocking on Republican doors. But everybody else, we're knocking on your doors to get you, make sure that you are signing a petition to participate in the mayoral process within the city of Pensacola, as well as making sure you are enrolled in vote by mail. And we absolutely need all hands on deck. So you can join us. Please feel free to reach out to our office. You can reach out at area code 850-407-7997. And we can get you tapped into our canvassing efforts and how to participate. We are also going to be doing some phone banking to get folks enrolled by phone, doing the very same thing as well, but via phone. So if you have some time, you'd like to make some phone calls, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, that's 850-407-7997. And we can get you plugged into those efforts as well. We look forward to doing so. I think that the applications are out. I'll speak for Mr. Vernon, so I know he's not here, but the applications are out for the Veterans Day Parade that's held annually here in Pensacola. You can go to the Gulf Coast Veterans Advocacy Council's website and sign up to register to participate in that parade. And so it looks like it'd be a great turnout. So those are some of the things that are happening. The Democratic Women's Club of Escambia County will have their meeting this upcoming Saturday, which will be the 10th of October, and it's going to be at the Tryon Branch Library, and we will move on. So those are all some of the announcements that are that's happening here in Escambia County. So I appreciate it. We're going to get into our normal programming, and I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. McIntosh.
Hey, it's a couple of things I want to say. My mom, if she was still here, today would be her birthday, her 100th birthday, her 100-year birthday, if she was still here. My daughter's birthday was 2 days ago, so want to wish her happy birthday again. Then my grandson and my granddaughter, their birthdays 20 and 21st. So I got a lot of people born in October, more than that. So, but those are the four that I'm so close to. But we'll get on with it. just want to ask y'all how you feel about what happened in Chicago and South Shore and in Chicago the other day with the uh, Gestapo tactics that took place where they was propelling out of airplanes and tearing up people's place to live and buildings and handcuffing the elderly, children, zip tying them together, had them sit in SUVs for 3 hours and something um, because they were looking for some people that was from Venezuela. What you think about what happened there? Yeah, there.
What I will say is that it is, it is incredibly painful and highly unfortunate and very maddening, but it's not surprising because these are the times that we live in. To see, I think what you're never prepared for is to see 2 and 3-year-old children zip tied and shackled together and ripped apart from their families, just to go in and do these ice wars that are number one unconstitutional, and certainly an overreach by our what is it, troops that are here locally. It is sad that we're in this place. Um, and we're just in October of the first year. This is where we are. You can just imagine being sleep in your bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and you hear all kinds of booms and people breaking in. There are reports that they were setting people's beds on fires. What is the purpose of that? Why would you set someone's bed afire? Like that, it certainly, doesn't help if your goal, let's just say all of this stuff made sense, right? And your goal was to remove dangerous criminals or those that you say are undocumented. Why are you setting furniture? What in that process? How does setting furniture ablaze aid in the corralling of people who are undocumented? It just makes no sense. And it's sad. I hate for the families that were affected. And it's sad because this happens and they have no recourse. There's nothing that they can do. But it's what people voted for. Or in some cases did not.
Yeah, I know. When you got little children and they show one picture of one of the children, they had the child's hand behind his back, zip tied with a police holding it, and then they said one of the Gestapo members said, after those children, you know, I mean, to drag children, the temperature drops in Chicago at night pretty low. To drag children out with no clothes on, well, they said some of the children had no clothes on, and they kept them outside for 3 hours in the cold with no clothes on. Elderly people who live in that building, and I know exactly where 75th and South Shore is at, because I used to live there. But to drag people out in the middle of the night, and like you said there, you wake up with flash grenades, and you come out the house because you hear all this ruckus going on, and there's one lady said they put a gun to her head when she came out the door, and she just had a nightgown on because she wanted to see what was happening, what was going on. And not only that, they cut people doors off the hinges, you know, and just demolish their house where they live. It's just atrocious. Some of the stuff they have done. Jill.
So I don't have the words to express how I feel. However, I don't think we need to ask why. I don't know why every day we seem like we're shocked, but are we really? I'm not shocked. It's heart-wrenching, and I cannot imagine. I wouldn't want to have to go through it, but I no longer am asking why and how could they? They don't care. And there's not enough of an outcry for me to believe that the overall population of the states of America cares enough. Because if they did, we'd be hearing this from the rooftops. We would hear this in the churches. We would hear this out in the street. There would be an outpouring of enough is enough. And we're not hearing it. They see it. I'm not telling you they don't empathize with it, but they don't understand. And think about the detail that you just gave. That's not enough for someone to say, okay, we've gone too far. Little kids, zip tied, out in the cold for 3 hours, and all you can say is F them. Like, okay, what? So for me, I'm still waiting for the outcry from those people who don't look like them or us to say enough is enough. And until I hear that, I'm no longer, I don't know what page they're on. I just need to know what page you're on. Or give us the new copy, because some of this is not even in the freaking book. It's worse. So can we have the new copy at least so we can be prepared? Or we can at least, I don't know, what do you do? I probably should have stuck with I didn't have the words. But that's what's in my heart and my mind right now. I'm broken for where we are. And I'm disgusted at the fact that there's not enough people broken for where we are. And they still think, oh, they're so great.
BJ, give us your thought on what's happening here.
I think I am very clear-eyed in this moment. I completely understand why we are here. It is not surprising to me, like many of the others, that this is happening. I mean, when we think about it, and Mr. Jerry, you're probably aware of this, but during the civil rights movement, a lot of those people marching were children. A lot of those images of people being sprayed with, fire hoses to the point with so much pressure that it would rip the skin off the bone, that was done to children. So this idea that we just left children out in the cold for a couple of hours, that's nothing in comparison to what we've done to children on camera, by the way, historically. So this isn't a surprise. This isn't shocking, and it will get worse. It's going to get much worse than children being outside in the cold for 3 hours with not enough clothing. It will get worse. Our calling in this moment is to not become numb to it, because part of what the process is to make us numb to the trauma, so that we see it as happening to other types of people that are not us, and then they numb us to the trauma of it all, and then they come for us. And so there's always somebody else on the menu. And so I think the point of this is, what we need to do in this moment is to realize that the trauma that we are witnessing, that's being portrayed on television or on our camera phones or in our social media feeds, that we don't become numb to it, that we call it out, that we expose it for what it is, and that we never obey in advance. But we in for some troubled times. This is going to get bad. It's going to get ugly. And the other thought I have is, what is the obligation to the state and local government to protect the citizens of the states in which they lead? At a certain point, I mean, I'm speaking in Civil War terms, but the state has an obligation to protect the citizens' safety, number one. And so at what point do the leaders of that state, of the state of Illinois, say, you can't come in here. And if we gotta fight each other in order to protect these citizens, that's what's going to happen. And so this can get ugly. I can tell you, if I was the governor of the state, there would be war in Chicago right now if I were the leader, because I wouldn't let this wouldn't happen under my watch. I wouldn't let you do this to the citizens of the state in which I governed. Pritzker's a nice guy, but he's a white guy, and he's a white billionaire. And white billionaires protect assets, and those assets are not black and brown people. So we in for some trouble.
Yeah. And and I keep hearing people saying this is not us. And as you put it so eloquently, it is us. We committed genocide on this continent many years ago. We have enslaved people here and snatched babies and sold babies away from mothers and used babies as alligator bait, and just the horror of what has taken place in this country. People want you to forget about that so you don't think about what they're doing now. But it has happened, as you said, the pressure of the water hose, the dogs sicked on people, and they're still doing it. I seen, there's plenty of videos out there where police now are still sicking dogs on people, even when they are handcuffed and laying on the ground. They still have a dog to bite the people. Have people, dogs biting people in their private parts. Just a whole host of things that they are doing. And it's all on video, and nobody, and the media is not caring, doing anything to help the situation by broadcasting what is taking place, so it can cause some kind of sympathy or empathy, so that people will rise up against what's taking place. And then there are black men, truck drivers are coming up missing, being lynched. And as soon as it happened, the police declared a suicide. Well, how do somebody end up with trauma, broken leg, trauma to their head, and lynched, but they did it themselves? It's a suicide. So it's just crazy. That, like the one in Delta State down there. The guy had broken legs, trauma to his head, and they said it was suicide. But he was lynched. It's just a whole host of things that are happening, unfortunate. And if it wasn't for social media, most of this stuff we wouldn't never know about. And I'm so happy that for the advent of social media, because the media is not covering issues that relate to us and relate to, they are showing very little of what these Gestapo tactics are doing with these people who are calling themselves ICE agents, and the brutality that are taking. They are slamming women to the ground. I mean, just a whole host of things. Just being brutal. Old people, they don't care. They don't care anything about the people that live here in this country, who has paved the way for them. And now they are so brutal. They're like bloodthirsty animals, mistreating people on a level which I haven't seen in a while. So I'm just flabbergasted about it. And like you said, nobody's saying anything about it. And Jill, you're right. It should be preached from the pulpit and everywhere else that these things are taking place, or maybe preachers don't care. I don't know. And I know some are, that you see on some preachers are saying something, but it seems like most are not. And I could be wrong, but I don't see it. Because the one like Jamal Bryant and others, they're speaking on these issues, but not too many others. Very few.
Well, I think that a lot of Black people are not surprised by what we've seen in general. I think I would surmise that Latinos are very surprised at what they're seeing.
Uh,
But I think it's mostly out of ignorance, not just, and I mean ignorance in the true sense of the definition, meaning just unaware
mhm.
of what this country is. You know, this country exports an image to the world that it is the bastion of hope, the magnet of freedom. And so many people come here not realizing that, number one, the reason why this is the wealthiest country in the world and it is the place where you can make it is because of Black people. This country's wealth was built on the struggles and the labor of Black folk. So that's the reason why you even want to come here to begin with. So now they're in for a shock. And I was just watching a news clip of a woman saying he's an American citizen. And I'm like, what you thought that got you? What did you think that American citizen currency, what did you think he served in the military? What did you, it, to see that reality unfold in real time on the news, certainly I empathize with that, but then it tells me you haven't done the work to truly be to truly know what it means to be citizen, because to be a citizen requires work. It's not just to be born someplace and therefore you are citizen. To be citizen means that you have to work to earn that title. And it was clear and evident that there was no work that went into what it means to be citizen. And part of what I think means to be citizen is to actually know the history of the country in which you reside in. I'm not going to move nowhere where I don't know what's going on there. Why would I? That sounds idiotic. Why would I move to a country and not know anything about that country? Not know anything about the languages they speak, what cultures are on top, who is on the bottom, the history, has there been war? Why would you move somewhere and not know anything about the place you move into for $1? That don't make no sense to me. So I empathize with that gentleman's family, but at a certain point, people are going to have to do the work that is required to be called a citizen. And sometimes, if you don't do it yourself, the work shows up on your front porch.
Yeah.
Can I
As
just
Malcolm
say
X said,
I was going to say, can I just say you're in New Orleans came out real heavy in that? I was like, wow, wait a minute now. Let's talk what we have. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, that the work that, people thought we were just complaining as Black people in this country when we would tell people what was going on, that they didn't know that they are here and enjoying the benefit of this country because of the struggles that Black people went through since slavery.
Yeah.
Since we was put in chains or into forced labor here, they still think of us as slaves with a slave mentality. But we were never slaves. We was put into slavery, but we were never born slave. We were forced into slavery. We was forced to not be able to get an education in this country. And even when we were even doing slavery, we were educated to where we came from. We just weren't educated to the English language and the cruelty of these people that brought us here and that mistreated us while we were here, because many of us was here before they ever set foot on the soil. We was here, and we have to recognize that there was many of us deported from this country to other countries so that we wouldn't know who each other were. So, but we were here already, many of us. But then there was many of us who were brought here because they didn't know the language of the country and didn't know the territory and how to escape the country. So and it's been an ongoing thing. But the civil rights movement is the reason a lot of people enjoy the benefits. Even the people that got more of the benefits than anybody was white women who should be outraged about what's taking place. Because from what Pete Hegseth said the other day, they don't even want women in the military anymore. You know, I mean, and he said that out loud on a stage with all this brass sitting before him. He was lecturing them. That was what was so amazing to me. Him and Trump these people have served in wars and have been their strategic planners and all of that for military causes around the world. And they were being lectured by, somebody had five or six deferment with quote had foot spurs, and somebody that served in the National Guard and was a talk show host on weekend. And these people out there saying all kinds of stuff to these individuals. And I'm glad that they didn't get no applause. And they sit there stoic as if we don't want to hear nothing you got to say. We got to sit here, but we're not going to hear what you have to say. And we are not going to applaud for you. And which I'm happy they didn't, because they look like clowns before these people with all this knowledge of military interactive, but which was unfortunate. They even brought, and one general said how dangerous it was to bring all these generals from around the world and put them in one spot. It would, even no matter how much security you got, it was still dangerous, because it was anything could have happened that day, on that particular day. So I'm just concerned about these jackbooty thugs that they done put on the street that don't care nothing about that care nothing about people in their lives, and that's all they are. If you're a law enforcement, why you got to wear a mask?
I need to that I want the moment to come when I call somebody a jackbooted thug.
Yeah.
I need that moment to happen in my life where somebody deserves for me to yell at them, you jackbooted thug.
Everybody. That's what you are when you handcuffing babies. You so afraid of some babies, you zip tied them to each other. It's just crazy. I'm Derek. Go ahead. So Jack Lee Thug is singing me, but it is, but in all seriousness, I mean, it's sad. Like we had, this is, we have to remember, I guess, look at who's in charge, like from the top, I don't want to say down, but like all the folks, this is a clown show. This is a circus. Like they're a bunch of clowns. Everybody's a clown. Nobody is qualified. And it's so funny because you hear all this talk about like, oh, DEI puts unqualified people in to take a spot from the qualified white person. And I'm like, oh, these are your qualified white people? Oh, okay. Like, good God. Like, if this is your best of the best, my God, today, like, what?
Yeah. These people now.
I mean, just sit all the way down, because these are fools. Like, you have, I mean, I watched this like, the man got on TV. Well, I'm all over the place. The man got on TV, and I'm sure those people told him, like, when he tried to say that acetaminophen causes autism. All right. I'm sure they told him, those people got up there and said, now you can't say a brand, you can't say Tylenol, you can't say this, you have to say the drug. Drug is acetaminophen. I got it. You gonna get your funky behind on TV and then look like, oh, like, at, you can't even say the word. More specifically, you can't use your ability to sound words out. Like we learned how to sound it out. What, second grade, first grade, second grade? You learn how to sound it out, like like sound it out. But even more, you just don't read it until you get up there because you think you can wing it, and then you got yourself looking like Boo the Food, right? Just like he talked to the president of Puerto Rico. What? President of Puerto Rico. So you talk to yourself? I'm confused. Like, what are you saying? You know, like it's these comments that I'm like, this is the best and the brightest. Lord have mercy. I'm like, okay.
He talked about the president of the Virgin Islands also. I'm
right.
like, that would be you.
It's you. And I'm gonna have to pull from I hate when I quote hip hop folks, but sometimes it just be applicable. Like Cardi B had this comment that broke the internet this weekend that I think is just so applicable in these cases. And her comment is like, and I'm just gonna say it to these people. I think their favorite color is five. Like it's just it's mind blowing. Like how I don't want to call you an idiot. I don't want to call it idiocy. I don't know what it is. There's got to be a BJ. What is the clinical term or the medical term for this level of stupidity? I don't know what it is, but like it's sad, right? The man got on. Then we had this man you made reference to. He brought all the generals and all the people into one place. God forbid somebody decide to blow it up. Then you'd be without leadership in the military. But all right, that's what you're gonna do. That's whatever. It's fine. And then you're gonna go and tell those people you can't be fat. Like ain't no fat generals and no fat people. Y'all look a mess. What kind of? I mean, like what? Who are you talking to? Like, sir, you can't do a pull up yourself because we saw you in the gym. Like, you can't do a pull up. I mean, I'm not proud of you. I can't do a pull up, but I'm not shaming nobody else for not doing a pull up. I mean, I can't do a pull up in my current place. So, like, I get it. Like, but, sir, I don't understand what you're talking about. Like, it's just like, okay,
They did a side by side of him and this woman. The woman had a baby, and she was doing. Did you see that one there?
Mm-hmm.
She was doing the pull up with ease, and he was just kicking, trying to get up.
Trying to kick, just kicking your legs, trying to get up there. You look crazy.
Trying to do a pull up. I'm like, and he did maybe one.
Right. So if the prerequisite is to be able to do a pull up for the people, the generals, and all that other stuff, so it should be your prerequisite too, right? You should be able to pass that same fitness test, right? In my mind, if you got the people who walk in the halls of Pentagon, if they can pass it, you gotta pass. Then you got to tell which to me is targeted towards Black people. You tell folks that they got to shave. They got to shave their beard. That is very targeted to people who look like us. Nobody else. None of this unkempt stuff. You tell the women they have to pass the same level of fitness test that a biological male has to pass. And if you don't, oh well. It's not meant. Like you saying the stuff out loud. These are the people, and I wonder. I'm like, so what do the women who voted for this say? Like, y'all cool with that? Like, so I'm sure there are MAGA people who voted, who have daughters who are enrolled in the armed services. So you cool with that? Did he just gonna say y'all got to get out? Like you cool with them destroying your child's career? Like it's the level of at what point do you say that's it? F you. Like we finna do something about this. Like at what point do you do? What is the breaking? Like at this point, I think some of them would be willing to be slapped in the face and be cool with it. Like I could walk up to you, just slap you in the face. And walk away and be like, oh, it's all for MAGA. I deserve my slap.
Well, they convinced they created a boogeyman, which was these trans women, these like 5 trans women across the country that were taking over women's, sports and
Right.
and now and at the end of the day, the straight white man said, actually, we don't want none of y'all in none of this. So they were all focused on them 5 trans people who are out of 100,000 sports players. They were focused on 5 of them. Meanwhile, the person you should have been afraid of coming for your position was your own daddy, was your uncle, was your cousin, was your own brother. The man sitting right at the table with you eating dinner.
Right. Those are the individuals. As a matter of fact, I think it was about 15 of those MAGA. One was a judge and state representative. They just arrested a bunch of them in the last month. They are all supposed to be straight people, but they're raping 8, 10, and 12-year-old children. Just all kinds of stuff that they are doing, but they blame it on gays and lesbian people, LGBTQ people. Like, but these are the ones that you are putting in jail for this, and the all the shooting that have taken place in this country, MAGA people, shooting up schools, shooting up events, shooting up everything, just assassinating people. Some even tried to kill the governor of Michigan. I mean, it's just a whole host of things that they're doing, but we're the one that's but they blame it all on us. Like when the guy Kirk got killed, the HBCUs have to shut down because it's on us that somebody got killed. Charlie Kirk. It's amazing what they are doing. But I digress.
So, 2 things. I think we'll never know, to your question, Derek, when enough is enough. It'll be, I don't know what that is going to be. And it might not be anything because they're okay with it. I'm just telling you, they're okay with it. I don't know how else to say it, but as you're saying, I just don't understand, or I can't fathom. I can't. They're sitting there going, "Yeah, let's go." To the generals, though, the one thing I did think was, wow, if we could do that, we could all somehow. They all got together. I don't know how they did it, and they said, when we go in that room, we are not applauding. We are not smiling. We're not nothing. We will be in sync and we will sit there. That's why he acted a fool, was because he couldn't break through. He had stone-faced generals for hours. They didn't applaud. They didn't shake their head like, yeah, okay, maybe. They didn't even get mad or angry. They just sat there. And he didn't know how to respond to, they're not responding to me. They're not applauding me, but they're not even mad. They're just stone-faced. And it was the one time I was like, we could just all be in one accord like that. If that could just happen. They did it. I don't know what messaging system that they had, because that's a lot of people that came together that have different ideals. You have to know that. Those generals came from different backgrounds. But they can see it. They could feel it. They understood what needed to happen. Now, probably because more so than anybody else, they know their lives are on the line because he's foolish. And you can go fight this war and fight this war that he's making up and just trying to kill off your family. But they were able to do it. So to me, I was like, it is possible because they just did. But I wondered, but did we pick up on it? Did we see it? Because we sit here and Jerry, I love that we share with people trying to explain to him that this is not us. This is not black and brown people. This is not the Democrats. This is what it really is. But they already know it and they don't care. So what do we do now? Because we can tell them, we can give them the book, we can even probably tell, even if I knew the page and we told them the page. Do you know that millions of people that live around us and across the states of America would still not believe, even if it was word for freaking word? And they would somehow twist and turn this to either be a black and brown problem or a Democratic problem. Because for some reason, that's where they're at. They would choose, even in the truth in front of you, to believe the lie because it makes you more comfortable. So we don't need to figure out why they're doing what they're doing. We don't need to be shocked. We need to not, like BJ said, don't be complacent. Don't be numb. But what can we do besides tell them, hey, they're telling lies? Because they already know that. Like, I don't know that that is the strategy that's going to work because they already know it. If you want to bring up Charlie, I'm not going to say much about Charlie Kirk, except for he was shot and killed by a MAGA person that was not black or brown or at a HBCU. It had never gone to an HBCU. The Democrats didn't do this.
And
we're the ones blamed for everything. And you'll preach in church on Sunday. Don't get me started. But anyway, I don't really want to go there. But I think that we've got to find a different way. We've got to find a strategic way to do things different, because just telling them, it's never enough. But I don't think we don't tell them. So don't get me wrong. I'm not saying don't share, but I think in that sharing, every time we share something like this wasn't us, this was this, and this, and now here's something you can do. If you don't believe us, here's a go fact check, go this. Just something other than us just saying it, because it's not enough for the majority of the people, not the people that understand and get it. And then you also have to look at some Democrats, Republicans, and all people across the states of America followed that mania. And some of them didn't see anything wrong with it. So some of them saw what happened in Chicago and don't see anything wrong with it. Some of them saw what was going on in Florida and they don't see anything wrong with it. Some of them, until it actually hits home, like BJ said, where they're like shocked, like when he shut down, I think it was the Humanities, I got to pull it back up. And that lady was like, but I was doing what he wanted me to do. I was supporting the things he wanted. He didn't want any women. So wake up, women. Guess what? White, black, purple, pink. He don't want you either. He closed that all down and left only white men. Hello, wake up. My dad used to always say. So, hello, Jerry Lewis. That was his thing. Hello. So, hello. Are we woken up yet? No.
And the thing about it, the men that they are getting, they are not even to the level of mediocre. They below mediocre. and these are people leading the country, and all of them act as if they are so tough, but you could tell a coward when you see them. And that's what they are. Pete Hegseth, Stephen Miller, Trump, all of them, they are nothing but cowards. But they hide behind the military. You know, they hide behind the politics of this country. But these are cowards. If you catch them by themselves, they're wet all over themselves like babies, you know. So that's the kind of people that's running this country. But when you see them in front of a microphone, they're playing so tough, but they are not. you can read them like, you reading a label off a can, coward, 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 but that's all they are. But bullies always got somebody else doing that dirty work for them. They use, this is why Trump set up these thugs that call themselves ICE agents, but that's his own military that he's setting up because he's too, he know that the real military is not going to follow him that deep into what is going on. He know that. But this is why they got these ICE people. And a lot of these same people was the one that broke into the Capitol. You can bet that. But that's why they are hiding their face, because they don't want the media to show who these people really are. And so they told them to hide their face. But it was one lady walked up to one and snatched the mask off of him in Chicago. And he was trying to hide his face like it, but that show you how coward they are. If they weren't cowards, they wouldn't be hiding their face. And if they were real law enforcement agents, they wouldn't be hiding their face. So why do they have to hide if they're real law enforcement people?
Because they're a class of cretin imbeciles in a race to the bottom. That's what they are. And so, and this is everything that they're, like I said, it's not new, but they did this to Obama, where Obama, a Harvard graduate, and the Obama family was almost the best that Black folk could offer to this country in terms of the familial unit, the education. She was also a Harvard law graduate. And they tore that man down to the ground. You see, they doing it to Ketanji Brown Jackson, another Harvard law graduate. They went to the best institute, the institutions y'all said were the best institutions. Right. We don't believe that, but that's what y'all said was the elite of the best that this country had to offer. That's what y'all said. And they still not good enough. But y'all imbeciles are the ones that we should be looking up to. And the things that happen to the Obamas happen to Black people all the time. I can tell you, in my medical school, there may have been, out of a class of maybe 300, there may have been 15 of us. You have to know that the 15 were the best of the state of Louisiana. You had to be the best of the best in the state of Louisiana to be Black and go to medical school in Louisiana. And even when I was in medical school, they used to say that the Black people only got in because of affirmative action. I'm not even that old. And they were still saying that at that time. Now, I would be in circles where people wouldn't know that I was Black. They would tell me their test scores, and I was like, what? You shouldn't be in this class. What? I was like, what is going on here? So I don't know what it is that they get in their rearing that makes them think that they're the best that the world has to offer, but they are not. They are mediocre, and most of them are. Most of them are just mediocre imbeciles who are in positions that they don't deserve and that they are unqualified for. So we just got to keep marching.
I'm telling you. We're going.
I see that all the time. Like I will tell you, I have a personal example because this happened twice since I've been chair of the Democratic Party. Or once before I was running, and then right after. There were some folks in my DEC who, I don't know where I was going, but I had a University of Florida. They saw the back of my car and I had University of Florida alumni, and they were like, "You went to the University of Florida?" And I was like, "Yes." They were like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I'm a Gator too." And I was like, "Oh yeah, you went to the University of Florida?" They're like, "No, we just love the Gators." And I'm like, I said, "Oh, so you're not a Gator, you're a fan." And they looked at me like they were offended that I took them away from being Gator, y'all know who it is. Same person always is. But you know, and it's like uh it was hilarious. So I'm like, no, you're not a Gator. You go to the game. Like that's a very different thing. Like I didn't want to. I always wanted to call you a street alarm, but I thought that was derogatory. And so I was like, that's not the same thing. It really isn't. Like I don't know what to tell you, but I'm sorry if somebody told you that. But it's just amazing to see the looks on their faces when you occupy spaces that they think you should not be, in which you should not be, and they wonder how you got there, like what it is. I had someone else who asked me, um, Jill, you remember this? Had a conversation with me and wanted to know how did I pay for school? Like what sports scholarships? And I was running for chair, and you remember it. She was like, "Well, how did you pay for school? What scholarship did you go on?" I was like, "Well," I said, I'm brilliant. I don't know if you knew that, but let me just tell you where I came. Like, let me tell you where I am. And it's always funny to hear them say, uh, you got there by affirmative action. But I'm like, so if I got there by affirmative action, what kept me? I
Right.
still had to go, I still had to go to class, right? I still had to get a grade. So I mean, unless these people believe, which it wouldn't surprise me, unless you believe that there is they take at the University of Florida and every other institution, higher learning, they take in the classroom, they take the Black people and the Hispanic people, when they grade their tests, they grade them separately, and it's always on a curve so that your score is competitive. I guarantee you, at the University of Florida, every test I took was on a Scantron. So no, it's just you got it right or you got it wrong. That was it. You either got it right or you got it wrong. They didn't separate. Oh, and I didn't go in and feed my test score, my piece of paper into the printer. And they said, "Oh, Negro, let me put him over here and give him +5, and then anything else he gets marks wrong." That's not how that works. It's always amazing to hear their rationale and the way they think about it. I'm intrigued to say the least.
And for those who don't understand what affirmative action was, and it used to be, because it's no longer, but affirmative action was just a avenue to get you through the door, so that you can have you can use your knowledge, or to get you to a place where you can at least get into the classroom.
Mm-hmm.
But it never did the work for you.
Right.
You had to do the work yourself. But it was just it opened the door for you, just cracked it, because it really didn't open the door for many people. The people that walked through the door that it was wide open for was white women. It was not the people that fought for affirmative action, the Black people of the civil rights movement. We still didn't get there the way we should have. That didn't mean that we were not qualified. It means that we was locked out, that they found other ways to lock you out. Once Black people began to go to college, then they came up with all these SAT scores and all this other stuff that you had to have to get into college. But before that, you didn't have to have any of those, ACT, none of those. And then once Black people mastered that, then most people don't know that was a time college was mostly free. Until Ronald Reagan came. Ronald Reagan started to charge people tuition in California, and it spread it across the country. But it used to be basically free, especially for junior colleges. And the most it would cost to even go to a 4-year college was maybe a couple $1,000s. But now, if you go to so-called elite college, it might be $100,000 a year now, because they don't want X amount of people in there. But still, Black people get they have the wherewithal to get the scholarship where they done mastered their classes and all of that. their GPS is so great that they can't, if they turn them down, they didn't turn them down because they weren't academically qualified. They turned them down because of the color of their skin. And we all know that, and it happens all the time. But Black people still going to Yale, Princeton, Harvard, Columbia, all of the other colleges of this country. Well, but to me, the best college in the world is Howard, Morehouse, all of those colleges, HBCUs, because it nurtures the whole person. It's not just dealing with academic. And then you don't have to worry about all the racism that come along with it when you're at these other colleges. So you can focus on studies rather than dealing with all these other issues that other people bring to the table to lock you out or to try to make you feel bad about being there when they are unqualified to be there themselves. So it's just amazing that people think that just because a door is open to you, that you can't do the work. That was the whole reason the affirmative action came about, because we were locked out. We were not allowed to go to these so-called elite colleges. And that's why they had to start historical Black colleges, because before that we weren't even allowed to read or go to school. You could be killed for reading, and now we won't read to save our lives. That's really strange. Some of us, I ain't gonna say all of us, some of us won't read to save our lives. But there's one person, I don't know if you want me to call her name or not. You say they are happy to choke on their poison of white supremacy and racism, happily, even though it is literally killing them and us. So, and she also said they are 100% coward, dangerous, and insecure cowards. So it just, people are responding to these, because they realize what this is really all about. And we'll move on there to the shutting down of the government, and what y'all think about this. Also, what is your thoughts on it, and what you think should happen?
Well, for me, I think finally Democrats are doing what is right. They're standing up for people and they're trying to keep from having their health coverage, their insurance premiums double and triple over time. So this is the right thing to do. How long it's going to occur, who knows? But right now, this is the right thing to do. That is what I was.
So you think the Democrats should hold right now?
I do. Yeah. No more capitulating. It's time to hold the line. You've done too much capitulating. You signed the House resolution. The Senate Democrats voted unanimously for Charlie Kirk. You kowtowing to these people too much. It's time for you to take a stand. And this is that stand.
And they've taken the stand now, so it would be so much worse if they stop right now. It'll be so much worse if they stop right now, because nothing would have been accomplished, and then it will all be blamed, and it will seemingly seem like it was all our fault. I think they do what they're doing because right now they're standing with truth, and what they're sharing is absolute lies. You cannot give Medicare, Medicaid to undocumented people. You just cannot. It's not allowed. So therefore, it's everything they're spewing on their side is lies. And they're taking so much away from the American people that I think whoever just said whatever, I think they don't even realize that it's not just Black and brown people that this is impacting. It really is not. And it's not just Democrats that are being impacted by this. So I don't know. I wouldn't want to be them. But I also, you didn't stand up when you should have, so now I think I hold you accountable. You sure as heck better stand up. And yeah, is it going to be difficult? It is. But you let us down just a few short days ago. So to me, this is the least they could do, even though it impacts and it hurts a whole lot of people. It's the least they can do because they were called, they were elected to represent all of us. And they haven't stopped anything else. I'm still going back to their vote. I can't imagine how they got where they are. But right now, they need to do what they're doing. And we need to pull together and figure out how do we take care of those that this is going to be difficult. It might be more than the 35 days the last one was. It really might be. And how do we get to the people who are going to be really hurting?
BJ?
I say keep it shut down.
Yeah.
Keep it shut down. No health care, no vote. And so they need 60 votes. What happened? Oh, sorry. They need 60 votes in order to pass this. When you don't have the votes, no matter which party is in power, when you don't have the votes to pass a piece of legislation, you have to go to the minority party and ask for, and get some concessions. That's the way it works. The majority, who are the Republicans, don't feel like they have to go to the Democrats to get any concessions to pass the piece of legislation that they don't have the votes to pass. So this is just parliamentary procedure at this point. I mean, it can be laid out just as plainly as that. Y'all don't have the votes. And if you want the votes, this is what you need to do to get the votes. So it's simple to me. It's simple. It's very simple to me. And the Democrats have said, we are not going to sign on to a piece of legislation that guts the social safety net for people's health care. We're not going to do it. So I kind of feel like at this point we're at a standstill, and they don't even feel like they have to go to the Democrats. So if y'all don't feel like y'all have to do anything, then y'all figure it out on your own.
I'm telling you, because they definitely need 60 votes. But the thing about it, they are trying to blame it on they the one are not negotiating. They're the one who put this draconian bill out there, but it's the Democrat fault that it didn't pass. No, you said you had the votes to pass it. So let's see the votes. But they run around, they got on every show, this morning I'm watching every show. They had these people on talking about it was a Democrat fault. But when you ask them a question, they can't even answer they can't even answer a question. But look, now going right back to what they had said about the Democrats. It was the Democrats, Chuck Schumer, it's Hakeem Jeffries. They're the ones shutting down the government. No, you're not. But talking about they won't negotiate with them. Then when they did negotiate, when they did go up there to talk to Trump, he put out some kind of AI racist, avatar of Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. That's when Hakeem Jeffries said, if you got something negative to say about me, say it to my face. So, which we know cowards don't do, because they hide behind anything and everybody. And that's what he do all the time.
But what I would point out, though, in response to those interviews, is that the Republicans are on message. No matter what channel you watch, no matter what social media posts they put up, they are on message, and their lies will go around the world 10 times before the truth, hits the airwaves once. Democrats are all over the place. We just got to be honest. They are all over the place. You got the senator from New Hampshire is saying one thing. The senator from Delaware is saying another thing. Hakeem Jeffries, Lord, I try and stay strong for him, but he is really making me upset right now. This man ain't built for this moment. And so I'm just saying, they are not going to win the messaging war unless they all get into a room and say, this is what we're going to say when we go on TV to be interviewed, and nothing else. All that other stuff can go. No health care, no vote. And that's it. All that other talking, Chuck Schumer, good God. I can't speak to his legislative bona fides. I really can't speak to it, but that man should not be on television representing us. He just should not. He shouldn't. He don't have the skills. That ain't his lane, and he should not be on television representing the party. Stay in the chambers. Do what you do best, but this ain't your lane, son. And we need to get somebody else on the airwaves speaking on behalf of us to represent us to the public.
And especially, you got AOC, who is great. You got Jasmine Crockett, who is great. These are the people they are younger. They are younger people. They're the ones should be out there speaking on behalf of us because they know how to carry a message. But you're absolutely right. I saw this lady from the Senate talking about both sides. You're a Democrat. What are you talking about? Both sides. Both sides need to sit down and just shut up, have several seats and shut up, go back home or something. Just go back to bed, go to sleep. I'm like, because you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. You're talking crazy. Talk about both sides. What are you talking about?
Listen, when somebody who is watching you on TV is having the thought that you need to just go to bed, that is a sign that you should not be on television when the viewing audience thinks that you would be doing the public a better service if you were just in bed sleep.
Yeah. I'm telling you, and I heard the Trump talking about, how many people he was gonna fire if the Democrats didn't come and do what he wanted to do. And then he told Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffrey the other day he was gonna get it done if he even have to use the military. I'm like, really, dude? Really? And it's so many things that I see that, I'm like, why aren't y'all got these younger people out here who is political astute, who understand what they need to be said in the time that it need to be said, that can influence people? But, y'all kind of, you might be good at legislating behind closed doors and all that, but you are not great for this party on television when you're trying to get a message out. You have to have people who is articulate and know how to handle that, and know how to handle not only the people that's asking the questions, but know how to circle it back to where you want it to be. They let them take them all the way off message. I'm like, oh Lord.
DJ, Jill had in her ever, as she does multitask, she found something based on what you were saying earlier when you were thinking about coming to the other side and talking to it. Is she asked me that I share it with you all and for the viewing audience. It's just a little light ha. And it's from Hamilton.
You don't have the votes. You don't have the votes. You're gonna need congressional approval, and you don't have the votes. Such a blunder. Sometimes it makes me wonder why I even bring the thunder. Why he even brings the thunder?
You want to pull yourself together? I'm sorry, these Virginians are birds of a feather.
Young man, I'm from Virginia, so.
Put something to say. You don't have the votes.
Yeah. I heard Trump then threatening how many people that they were going to fire and furlough and all of that. I'm like, you're already doing that. you done fired 300,000 Black women have been removed from jobs in this country because of you. Over 100,000 Black men, somewhere around 100,000 Latinos across the country. And they have continued to purge people every day from jobs. Many of them, we talked about it before. Many of these ladies are single ladies, single women, heading up their household, and also have homes that they need to pay for, cars, children's schools and clothing. It's just a whole host of things that they are doing to hurt people, and they are not even concerned about what they have done to these women and men and people of color around this country. And it's intentional. It ain't like it's an accident. They are intentionally doing it, and that's unfortunate. So they're gonna get it back to you.
This is where we are. Well, while we were away, what I will say, a couple of things that are happening. We go in order. Jimmy Kimmel came back on the air, well, he came back on the air originally, was it Tuesday of last week? But then they had the delay. And so those of us who are under networks that are owned by Sinclair or Nexstar, NextGen, whatever, they didn't come on until, was it Thursday of last week? So there was a couple of days delay. They had people to call. First they started off with, as we talked about it, I think on the show, they had the boycott. And one day, all the money that Disney lost for one day because of the boycott for Jimmy Kimmel totaled $4 billion. And they said, oh, no, can't have that. So they put him back on the air. He didn't have to apologize or anything else, right? Then he came back on here. Are you guys excited? What are your thoughts?
Excited is probably not the correct adjective I would give, but I did take notice about how white folk, in the words of Beyonce, got information. And it was almost like an organic galvanization of boycotting support, something that I wish we had with Target. Can you imagine if we had put a $4 billion hole in Target in a day and a half? But just for us to go to Target, we got to have social media campaigns. We got to get the churches involved. We got to go on this persuasion tour to get everybody to see how their policies are harming our communities and how we need to extract our dollars from them. We got to go through a college level course in trying to figure out why we should no longer be in Target. And white folk got information in 90 seconds and said, you know what? We pulling these Disney Plus subscriptions today. Mm. And so it just made me notice that it is possible for things to happen. We really just need white folk to show up for us the way we show up for them. And they know how to do it. It's just they're selective in when they do it.
Yeah, absolutely true. Because early in the civil rights movement, there was a lot of whites that came with money. But once we began to talk about the wars and job creation, everybody pulled their resources. And, but you're right. They can show up if they're willing to show up, but they have to have the will to do it. And many of them don't have the will to do it because the way they've been raised, that we're working for somebody that's inferior rather than somebody that's, equal or superior to themselves. So, it's unfortunate that they sit back and not do anything. And this is the reason we're in the condition we are today. This is the reason why you got Trump. Because they didn't believe that Trump, they didn't believe us when we were telling them that Project 2025 was an action plan. Once you put something like that together, this is what people, if the person that wrote it didn't implement it, they got somebody else that was going to implement it. So the thing about it, they didn't do their homework. And now the nation is being lost to a dictator, a wannabe dictator, and his minions, and they don't. And now there is an outcry because they're about, many of them, that understand what democracy is all about to lose it. And the oligarchs thinking that, oh, we're going to have all this money and all this, these positions where we are next to the president. They don't know these people, bullies don't care nothing about it. Once you say something against, they're going to turn against you too. So what they fail to realize, these oligarchs don't care nothing about poor whites. They don't care nothing about the middle class white. They only care about money. And that's something that where you have to hit them in the pocketbook, where their love lies, and that's in money. And so they won't. The thing about it, we shouldn't have to do, like you say, BJ. We shouldn't have to give a college level course on why we shouldn't be shopping at places that discriminate against us, because what we are doing is paying them to discriminate against us. Yeah, I saw. I think it was Jamal Bryant said we give the black church take up $11 billion a year from the black community, 11 billion, and we're not doing anything with that money. We give that money to the banks. The banks turn around and lend it to the people that come and develop our community, gentrify it, and push us out of the community that we live with our own money. We are paying them to gentrify our community. We are paying people to discriminate against us every day and don't even realize that we are doing it, because we're allowing ourselves to be used like tools for somebody else's benefit. And this is what I'm liking about people in Africa. They're beginning to wake up and say, whoa, this is ours. And we want to keep it as, because we done fed the world for years off our back. Now it's time for us to feed ourselves. And that's what I like about Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, because he's doing what the rest of Africa should be doing. And that's what we should be doing as well, putting our resources together and building something ourselves, and making sure that we have the things that we need, because if we don't, and I've been telling people, these test runs that Trump and them is doing, they're using it to see how they can cut us off from resources, especially in the major cities. And that's what people got to, that you got to watch what they are doing and look at the history of what has happened in the past in other countries. And that's what they do. They cut the resources off, your food, your water, your sanitation, everything. We see that right now happening in Gaza Strip. It's happening before our eyes. A genocide is happening before our eyes, and we are not watching what this thing has come home with us as well. And it's unfortunate that it has happened. But Trump is talking about laying off another 700,000 people in this country. What do he think? How do he think the government works? How do he think this government gonna run? What do he think gonna happen if you lay off all these people that send out Social Security check, that do the payroll for the military, that do all kinds of stuff for this country, that make this country run? What the environment? What do they think gonna happen? I don't get it. Jill,
it's not for us to get. We're not. We think, and they're not thinking. He just says, "I'm in control. If I do this, this is great." He just made America great again, because it's back to where he thinks it's supposed to be. You're talking to somebody who really does not know.
So I want to go back to the original question, Jay, what are your thoughts on Jimmy Kimmel?
You didn't like our conversation. He's doing a Jill. He is doing a Jill. Let's go. Okay. What are our thoughts on them being able to put him back on? I think BJ was right. It's great for whoever really wanted that to happen, but it's super sad that there were so many opportunities. Target's just one, that we as people could have done the same thing and we didn't. And for whatever reason, well, first of all, I was just thinking, I wish Jimmy would get on there. What would happen if Jimmy got on there and said, I just want to take this time to thank Black and brown people, all the support. Would they take him back off? I just need to know. You know what I mean? I that's what my mind thinks. But I wish we would have that ability to just move together and sync. And we don't have it. But they do, and like BJ said, they have it when they want it and when it truly impacts them. But again, I'll go back to Jerry where we started the show. You're talking about them raiding and breaking in and zip tying children and taking elderly out. That wasn't something they had an outcry for. They didn't stop anything for that. But Jimmy got taken off the airways, and I have to do something. But I don't have to do something if you're killing people. I don't have to do something if you are abusing people, you're taking away benefits, people can't survive. That's not what it is. It's Jimmy. So I need Jimmy to be watching our show tonight and understand that maybe since so many people believe in you and gave up so much, I need you to go just a little bit further and dig in and talk about what's really going on and how they need, just like I would love for him to say, just like you just galvanized to get my job back, let's galvanize to save the people and pick a place and let's do it. And then go to the next place and the next place. Till I see that, I mean, it could be done. So Derek, we'll have Christina. I need you to pick up the phone and call Jimmy. That would be Christina, and she's not on the show tonight. Talk to him.
But why do you think it's the case though that when one person says, let's do this, we all just don't do it? Because even when they said we're going to boycott Target, then it was Tabitha Brown saying, well, if you do this, it's going to hurt this. Then we had a bunch of people telling us instead of us just doing it. You didn't see a lot of people saying, well, if we cancel our Disney subscriptions, then we may not get as many child educational videos. And so do we really want to be doing it? No, they just was like, we canceling it and we posting that we canceling it and it's done. But for some reason, we don't have that same organic energy anymore. And I'm just wondering why, because the why is what's important.
I think it's because we're so full of the excuse. We have the excuse. We give the excuse. It's just like when we go vote. Why is it that they can say it's time to vote and everybody goes and votes? And we sit back and we say, but it's raining, but it's too hot, it's too cold, but I'm going to miss my show on TV. Why do we have the excuse? It's the excuse. And how do you eliminate the excuse? Why is it that, like you said, people were telling us don't do it? Why is it? I don't go to Target anyway. So it was quite easy for me not to go to Target. But then when y'all said something about Hobby Lobby, I'm like, but really?
Oh no, we can't do Hobby. You don't do Hobby Lobby, do you?
Don't understand.
Don't tell her that. She spent some hours in Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, so we're preaching to the choir here. We're not saying that we're better because
ain't no better.
Yeah, I'm not saying that because Hobby Lobby is
ain't no better.
Could I do it? I could absolutely do it. You know why I could do it though, BJ? I have to tell the truth. The reason I could do it is because it's way over in freaking Destin, not because it's around the corner. If it was around the corner, like my daughter had one right across the street, I'm like, oh, you got Ross and Hobby Lobby, everything's right there. For me, I have to actually drive to it, so I could say no. Like I said, Target was easy because I don't go to Target. never have liked Target, but I think because we each have our own excuse. I don't know what it is. For some of you, I do. BJ, I don't know you well enough to know what your thing is. But I'm sure there's some place we're supposed to be boycotting that you're like, but do we have to? Or maybe if there was one, we could do it now. I also know the new BJ. And BJ said that he's down for whatever. So
100%.
at this point, we probably could not come up with not a single thing. What's in that cup? Maybe water.
Water.
I was gonna say maybe water. And maybe if we say you can't drink any more water, then BJ will give us the reasons why, his doctor reasons why we just can't do that. But I think it's the excuse. It's so easy to make an excuse, and for them, it's so easy to just do. Like they didn't even think, like you said, they didn't think we're just gonna do it. Derek called and I was like, you better call Jen. I'm like, what? What? Okay, whatever. I mean, could I do it? Absolutely. But not like you said, they said it and it just happened. I don't know much that we say and just happens, not even go vote. We say that all the time. We don't even do that. Register to vote. We don't do that.
I mean, it happened to the point that the cancellation site crashed. Like, do you know how many people had to be canceling their subscriptions at one time to crash the cancellation site?
I'm telling you.
So that tells me that it's possible.
I mean, it was possible when COVID hit and they did that unemployment, when everybody was like, okay, let's go and crash the site. It is possible, but what motivates everybody to do it is the question, and how do we get it done? And then how do we stick with it? Because they didn't just cancel and then go back and say, oh, I can't live without it. They canceled and they were done. And they still didn't get back all their subscriptions.
So, try to say that you guys are looking at it, and I agree with your points, all of them. I took mine very differently, and I think we did and I had this conversation. I was painfully reminded and yet disappointed yet again in how there is and painfully reminded that there is a bubble that white people tend to exist in and don't think about anybody else. And I have no concern about anybody else. I say that because Jimmy Kimmel was taken off the air. And those people, to your point, rallied like immediately. So they canceled the site. They crashed the site, the cancellation sites for Hulu, Disney, and all that other stuff. I'm sure those Disney Cruise people had a queue for getting their stuff on. People canceling their trips and all of this stuff, right? But from that same community, you didn't see no outrage when Roland Martin got taken off the air. You didn't see it when Don Lemon got taken off. You didn't see it when Tiffany Cross got taken off. You didn't see it when Joanne Reed got taken off. You didn't see it. What's the lady's name from the Washington Post? What's her name?
Karen Atatia.
Yeah, thank you. You didn't see it then. They're just like business as usual, right? So it's like these things can happen for the exact same reason. But to someone of color, and it's like, you didn't see nobody stop watching MSNBC. Some people kept on moving. You didn't see them stop watching CNN. They kept right along, moving on. Like, it was like, keep on keeping on. They ain't give a damn. Like, it's like, oh, that's unfortunate. They lost their job. But as soon as someone,
a comedian
in their community, or someone that impacts them or that they like, gets removed. Oh no, we got to do this and we got to do this immediately. Like, don't pass go. I mean, don't you send it to everybody. Now we got on board, but they didn't get on board with us. Same with Target. Same thing can be said with Target. We're boycotting Target, but there are plenty of white people that walk in that store every day. So it's just us boycotting Target. It's not there. It's not everybody. You don't see white women boycotting Target. White women are the number one consumer. And they heard the most by DEI or the DEI initiatives being removed. You didn't see them. They still go to Target, fill up their little red carts and they red and white bags and go on Target One and all that other stuff and yada, yada, yada. They don't do that. So it's a constant reminder, even with those who look to be allies, it's like, yeah, no, they ain't got nothing to do. Joy Reid gave you the same news on MSNBC that she gave me, but you ain't got no outrage for that. It's there's no, oh, wait a minute, we got to boycott MSNBC. I bet you if people start watching MSNBC for the next 3 days, they would have put Joy Reid or whoever, whatever the case, they would have put them back on the air.
Let them get rid of Rachel Maddow. What they got to do is get rid of Rachel Maddow.
Get rid of Rachel Maddow. It's gonna be, oh, we gotta boycott MSNBC, and all your Derek, you gonna boycott MSNBC? Why? You don't do it for us. Like it is a constant reminder that we're in this fight by ourselves. Even those who profess to be, oh, I'm in it with you. You're not, because you ain't cancel. I have yet to hear that Washington Post subscriptions went down. People don't cancel their subscriptions either online or if they deliver newspapers. I don't know. I don't read the Washington Post, but they ain't go down. They barely got any news coverage. Derek. What?
I'm gonna ask the hard question because I agree with you to a point.
Uh-oh.
To a point.
Uh-oh.
But what did we do?
What you mean?
Was taken off. What did we do? Did we call up everybody that we knew and say, "Hey, this is what we're going to do"? Did we call all of the entities that we are engaged in when any of those things happen and put a plan together and say, "Let's do this"? We didn't, but they do.
But so why does it? But my question is, why does it have to be us? Like the same Jimmy Kimmel
we didn't do it ourselves.
got removed.
They did. It impacted their community. I think your words were perfect. Their community was impacted.
It impacted anybody who watched Jimmy Kimmel show, right?
They immediately responded. But our community was impacted and we didn't immediately respond. So we wanted white people to come and respond because we didn't.
No, I'm not saying that. Like, and I'm not suggesting. I think black people started boycotting MSNBC. I know some
did. The amount of people they had boycott, did that happen? Where we joined in. We didn't join in because they just said it. If they only had 1,000 people, would you have cut off your
okay, so let's leave that example alone. We boycotted Target. White people ain't joined in for Target. They know we boycotted Target.
They boycotting Target. Do you know how many people? I can just drive down the street of Marietta.
I'm not suggesting the way
going in that door every day.
At the end of the day, for the most part, a lot of
Thursday, whatever day y'all not supposed to go, you still go.
There at the end of the day, there are a lot of black folks who are still staying out of Target. You don't see. I ain't heard not one person that's not black say I'm staying out of Target too.
So how would you know? You can't say. We can't actually say that. Now I think we need to talk truth. You actually say you.
I ain't never seen it on
there. Haven't heard any. But how many white people are you talking to about? Are you going to Target that's not in your circle here? Are you talking to the people in New York? Are you talking to people in Chicago? Talking to people in Louisville, Frankfurt? No, you're not.
I see them. I can't see the immediate people that I can see.
Everything you're doing that there thing.
Let me finish. There are people who I see in my area who are identified as allies still walk around with Target bags.
Those people that you know, but you can't say no one is doing it. That's all I'm saying. You can say none of your allies in Escambia County, but you can't talk about the entire state. I'm sure there's some people that are our allies that are like, I'm not going to Target. I'm not going to say that there's not some. There's just not enough. I think we need to talk truth. The truth is there's not enough.
It ain't. I'm gonna say it's not enough. Like I'm sticking with that. They're not enough.
There's not enough, but we can't say no one.
No, I can. I can, and I am.
You can say it, but you can't be accurate. But okay. Yeah. But anyway,
I can.
We can say a lot of things, but we don't want to be like them. And see, this is why we have the problems. They want to know why the problem is the problem.
They didn't boycott MSNBC. For for
Football game.
for AMD. They didn't boycott with Colin Kaepernick. They didn't do none of that stuff. It's just always us when it comes to communities of color. It is literally always just us. If it were, the bottom line would be moving. The impact to the bottom line would be much more severe than it is. That's pure point blank. That's what it is. I don't have to see the people. I can read in finance. You can see the bottom line, their P&Ls. It's not moving the way it is. So you know that it's just Black consumers who are doing
it. That's all I'm saying.
No, that's what that was.
The bottom line doesn't show you that only these people are going. I'm sorry, you might be financially more astute than me, but I have done enough to know that the bottom line doesn't tell you whether that person that stopped going was Black or white.
Oh yeah, I can tell you. It's Black folks. No, you may not be able to tell you. I can tell you. It's Black folks. So
okay,
and that's where I would like to see the solidarity going back to just when things impact our community for literally the exact same reason that same level of immediacy and galvanization occur across the board. It just does not happen. Like, I mean, when we talk about what's the lady's name again? I can't even remember the lady's name. The Washington Post, tell me her name again.
Karen
Atatia. BJ, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. So she got fired, what was that, 2 weeks ago? And you barely heard a peep about it. Like barely. It's like, oh yeah, she got fired. But we heard for days about Jimmy Kimmel for the exact same thing. Now I get it. Jimmy Kimmel's audience is much bigger than hers. Like, I get that. I'm quite aware of that. But it is literally the exact same thing. The exact same thing.
And she got fired for saying what he said, Charlie Kirk. And that's the sad part about it. She just put in what he said about people and about the things that he had talked about. And they fired her for that.
And she got fired for something on her personal time. She didn't write an op-ed about this. This was something she did in her personal time.
Exactly.
Jimmy Kimmel got suspended for something he said on his show.
Mm-hmm. Right. And which nobody should have got fired for in the first place. Either one. But the thing about it, you barely heard a peep about when she got fired.
Right.
Well, I think we come to these movements with our own lived experience. That's how when I have gone to a few of the No Kings rallies, I would call them, there are white people there that are blowing bubbles at these rallies, bringing bubbles. And I'm like, you and I are not here for the same reason. Like, this is, I'm not sure. Oh, this thing is recognizing my hand. Like, we're not here for the same thing. If you thought in preparation for this rally or protest, you thought to bring a container of bubbles. I thought, let me bring bail money. Let me make sure I'm wearing a good pair of shoes just in case I got to run. Let me make sure a family member has my phone number, because I don't come to protest to play. So we need to be having pre-protest meetings. A lot of in the civil rights movement, they would have meetings for weeks before they actually demonstrated. And so I think with white folk taking the lead in a lot of these things, they don't have the ancestral knowledge or the lived experience to know what movements look like. And so that's why they show up to protest against authoritarians with bubbles, because they don't know they don't know what they're doing. And that's the nicest way I can say it.
Well, I'm going to give you props because you have you're affectionately called in protests. So I'm like, look at you. We have moved on. But like, to me, I think Joy Reid said it best. I posted her quote It's how can a man be lauded as a national civil rights hero and free speech champion worthy of a Presidential Medal of Freedom, flags at half staff, and a congressional moment of silence, but when quoting him, it is a fireable offense. Those are the things you have to reconcile. And it's, to me, it's one of these things like I wish, I just wish for better. That's all. I wish for better. Like like for example, do I say it or do I? So, the moment of silence or the day of observation is coming up for Charlie Kirk on the 14th, right? And I was
going to
asked
brunch.
You said what?
I said, where are we going to brunch?
Oh no, right? I was asked, what do we do? Right? What do we do in opposition? I won't say who. This is for the first time I would name him. But I will say that I was told that Black folks should march in the streets with AK-47s. That should be our way of protesting. And I was like, that ain't gonna work. You're trying to kill us all, right? But it just goes to show you, to your point, that the level of knowledge of how to protest or how to engage in public acts of defiance doesn't always resonate well or come together well when you're missing that ancestral history or knowledge, I should say.
Yeah, because the thing about it, when you're doing something on that scale, you ought to have people who can speak on the issues of why you're doing it.
So are you saying that he should have asked I'm sorry to interrupt. So you're saying he should have asked whoever told him that we needed to go out in the streets with some AK whatevers. He should have asked, why are we doing it? Are you going first? Or whatever. I'm just wondering. Like, we can't just leave that where that was. Somebody got to say something. Like,
you say what?
Jerry, you said you got to ask, why are we doing this? I said, so what you're saying is that Derek should ask whoever said that to him, why would we be doing that? Are you going first? I want you to go first. You go out there first and we'll follow you.
Was this like at a brainstorming session?
No, this was a phone call. Just to check in because I had made an inquiry about why our Florida delegation all voted, or most of them voted to support the Charlie Kirk resolution in the House. And, they were like, oh, well, we're going to do something, we've got to do something. And, here's what we could do, or here's what I think we could do. And what do you think? And I'm like, yeah, that don't. Pick up what I'm putting down.
So what do you think if all the Black people go in the street with guns? I think that would be a total massacre.
AK-47s to be specific.
Shoot, I mean, it don't matter. We could have a little what do you call it? What do you call them things? BB gun. It wouldn't matter. All you have to do is have Black people in the street with guns, and they would have, that national cry they just had for Jimmy. They would have a national cry, and they would go out, and we would be executed on the spot, and they would say we were scared.
Mm-hmm.
So to that person, I would just say, I'm gonna hope that
I'm gonna say your frustration. I understand your frustration in this moment, but sometimes we can't lead from that space or that place in our hearts and souls. can't lead from a place of frustration. Because if black people got on the streets and marched in the streets with AK-47s, we would have to accept that some of those people would not be going home to their families that night.
A large majority.
And let's be clear, I'm not even saying that that's not how this all going to end anyway. This could very much so end this way. Just from doing a lot of reading. I'm not saying that we may not get to that point where that's what we're all called to do, and some of us may not make it to the other side. But I don't think we're there yet. I think the moment is calling for something different. We ain't there yet.
But I do think we ought to be prepared for what may come, because you can see what's happening. You're seeing now that there are people who are trying to provoke certain things to happen in this country. And this is why you got these ICE people, thugs or whatever you want to call them, out there trying to provoke something to happen so that they can do, something. But I would say that everybody need to be armed. There's no doubt in my mind that everybody need to be armed against what may be coming. And, this thing that got serious, more serious than what people really think. And it's very serious now. And people are being killed anyway. People are being purged from jobs and all of that. It's only going to add to the frustration in this country. People are going to lose health insurance and all of this because of these people that's in power now, and they are doing intentionally what they are doing. And I'm just saying people have to be prepared as much as possible, and definitely hold on to you some finances if you can, because you might have to leave here.
When you say prepared, what do you mean prepared? How? Like, in what way? Are you saying prepared like Mr. Vernon and Mr. Gill say prepared?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's prepared I'm talking about, because when in the 60s, I mean the 50s and 60s, before black people were arming themselves, people were coming into their houses and pulling them out, dragging them out at night, killing them, because they didn't have the arms to protect themselves. All through, that's what Jim Crow was all about. People just come to your house, take you out at night, lynch you, do whatever else they want to. And they had because lynching was something that black people feared, because they knew what it was about. That was the catalyst that kept people in fear. And once people began to arm themselves, like the Deacons of Defense, like the Black Panther Party, like other people in this country began to say, wait a minute, hold up. We're going to defend ourselves. If I'm going to die anyway, I might as well die defending myself, And that's what I'm talking about. We have to be prepared for, because there are people who think they have the right now to come and say and do whatever they want to do to us. And they are doing it in public. And if you're watching social media, they're just bold with it. Calling people niggas, rolling up on black folks in stores, calling them boys, and slapping people. So I'm just saying, we have to be prepared for stuff.
And I think that's what
hopefully it don't come to pass, but it might.
I think that's what is crippling us, to Jill's point about what is it going to take. I still think that the majority of people are in the zone of wanting to get to the other side of this without any consequences. And I think people have the fight in them, but they're thinking, but if I do this, what will happen? What will I lose? How will my families suffer? How will our community struggle? And I have radically accepted that some of us are not going to make it on the other side of this regime. I've accepted that there are going to be some losses that we're all going to have to shoulder in order to get to the other side of this successfully. And the moment we're able to relinquish that fear of what we're going to lose by fighting back, I think that'll put us in a better position to be victorious.
I'm in total agreement because there are people losing their lives right now, losing their livelihood right now. And what they're doing, they're not just doing, they're doing it, one person at a time. Now they're doing whole groups of people, putting them out of jobs, which I mean, they don't leave the people no alternative, and that's unfortunate. I just want to say it. I don't know if y'all heard about Shakira. Ashada Shakira.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she passed away in Cuba. Yeah, she was a freedom fighter back in the 60s and 70s. And she escaped to Cuba, and Castro then protected her over there. But she went to her grave swearing she didn't do what they accused her of doing. And I'm in total belief that she didn't.
Well, the evidence proves that she did.
Yeah, yeah. They had no proof, no DNA, no nothing. Yeah, that says she. Yeah.
Yep. And then the FBI told us that we should not be celebrating or looking at her as a civil rights hero. She was a murderer. And I'm like, whatever. You don't define anything for black folks.
I'll tell you. And they were the biggest purveyor of murder and destroying people and causing the death of people back in the 60s. J. Edgar Hoover was one of the most notorious, vile people on the planet at that time. And when he died, they was burning stuff and hiding stuff that he had caused, that he had done for the FBI, the COINTEL program, where they disrupted and destroyed different organizations, accused people, of doing things with the cause of the death of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, and many others, Medgar Evers. The list goes on and on. Those were just some of the more high-profile people that was murdered by, they caused the murder of, by this, the FBI. And they set people up, destroyed people's lives and whole neighborhoods that they did in. So they don't have no right to tell anybody anything about who we should and should not honor and as our heroes.
Yep. Well, we are officially at 9:00. Do you have a book recommendation for us?
Say that again, Derek.
I think we are officially at 9:00. Do you have a book recommendation for us?
No, I didn't. I had one and left it in the back there, so I ain't got enough time to go get it. But anyway,
well, I would say in the spirit of our good friend Christina Forrest, who is not here with us tonight because she went to go see Houston. The Madam Vice President Kamala Harris. I would say that what we should all do is get her new book, 107 Days. It is out by Kamala Harris. So if you have not picked it up, please do so. You can get it in any bookstore here in Pensacola. The Black Cafe and Bookstore, which is Nicole Dixon's bookstore, has it available for purchase there. You can also download it on any one of your Audible book sites or auditory book sites that are there. It is available for purchase. So, if not anything else, we thank you guys for tuning in with us this week. We ask that you join us here, same time, same place next week. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you then. Take care, everybody.
Have a great night.